And here we are live again on Thursday at noon in Florida. I cannot say it's really that sunny, at least it is breezy. It's beautiful out here. I am sitting inside, and my guest, Jesse Wright, is sitting outside enjoying his tea. I invited Jesse because I came across his Facebook page. And what first caught my eye actually was the drum circle. I'm a sucker for drums. I have a djembe drum and I absolutely love it. And but then I started reading more and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to talk to this guy. And so we did a few days ago, and we always seem to have something to talk about. And he was like, well, let's not get into food because we don't really see eye to eye. And I think in a way we do. We both want what is healthy for us. And but I mentioned that if you talk about eating meat, I'm going to be mean to you. So maybe that was a good reason to say, well, let's stay away from the foods. We know what basically is, our specific diet, but everything, has changed so much, and it's so hard to get the good stuff. I mean, I'm lucky with a few fruits that I have in my tiny garden, but it wouldn't even keep me alive for a week unless I go the direction of breatharian, and I am not there, not even by a long shot. But anyway, there is so much other stuff to talk about. And at the bottom of the description, I put a link to Jesse's profile page so you can read for yourself if you feel, hey, I want to know more about what he is telling us. And another beautiful thing is when I asked him, where do you live? He's like, I'm a nomad. And I was like, I don't like that. And his next place to be would be in Colombia and studying, what was it? You said studying with shamans, right?
Yes, with the Taitas and the Maimas in the Amazon on ancestral healing modalities.
Yeah, and healing comes in so many ways. I mean, I always start out with food because, that is where my healing came from. But if I would be negative, depressed, and not wanting to do anything, I know I wouldn't be healing, not even with the best fruits. And in a way, I do feel, well, not in a way, I experienced that with a depression, that it was actually lifted when I got on the high frequency foods, but then I do have to stay there. And but there is, and I talked about it many times on the podcast, and frequent listeners know that there is way more to healing and to being happy, to enjoy life. It all has to come together, and this is where Jesse would love to talk about. So
yes.
I'll leave it up to you. Oh, I have to say one more thing. Sarah today, my beautiful co-host, could not be here today, but she will be here again next week. So no worries. Sarah has a lot of, she has some fun things to do. So that's the reason she is not here today, but she said that she love to you all, and she misses you and misses to be here. Did I say that right? It sounds odd to me. Dutch girl here, so sometimes my English is kind of off the wall, but I do my best. Anyway, Jesse, we can go to topics. I mean, you mentioned something about the depression.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'd like to get started with where I got started on my healing journey. It all started for me in 2019, and I had like a shift in consciousness, an awakening of sorts. And in that, I was some truths came from within, from deep within. And one of the big ones was the mind, body, spirit complex, and how and that's what we are. We are a spirit with a mind and a body. And each aspect of this complex has to be nurtured and cultivated and cared for on a daily basis to live our best life. And we do that, like the mind, we do it through meditation and education, and we protect ourselves from programming and from negative outlets in the body. We healthy eating is huge, and exercise and stretching like yoga and just taking care of the body and respecting the body and being grateful for the body, and the spirit, also meditation, prayer, time in nature, gratitude practices. And these in each day when we hit on these points and we make sure that we're feeding the mind, the body, and the spirit positivity, our vibration rises. And I feel like if we neglect any part of this pyramid, mind, body, spirit, it can slow the process down and keep us from reaching that blissful state of being.
Keep going, Jesse, because we're all listening.
Oh yes, I just didn't know if you had any questions. So yes, so there's a lot of things in the society now that's kind of backwards. There's a lot of fear in society, and a lot of propaganda out, and a lot of encouragement to put unnatural things in our body and to do unnatural things, and a disconnect from nature. It's to remember that we all nature, that we all of this earth, and the blood in our veins is the same blood in the veins of the animals that walk on four legs, and to reconnect to the nature and to the planet, and to be grateful to be a part of it.
But the way that you can do it, not everyone can. I mean, we have our jobs, we have our limited times. I always hear people say, yeah, I don't have time for that. And then I have another example. My husband, he likes to say that I don't have time for that. Yeah, and he works 80 hours a week. So, okay. But when he is home, he can just sit there for hours at a time and do nothing. And he has this beautiful Harley sitting outside, and he tells me, I don't have time to ride it. And it's like, well, you are not doing anything right now. But it is choices that we make. And we
It's
do
choices.
have to make the choice for us to be, call it, be in balance and go out in nature, because my God, do you feel different when you're out in nature? It's
Yes.
like meditation comes easy, the feeling of enjoyment, the way that all the fear seem to disappear then, because can I say it's like a different consciousness?
Yeah, it's nature is very special, and it we're surrounded in the frequency of the trees and the plants and the animals, and we're not listening to unnatural sounds like automobiles or air conditioning units or things that they don't sound natural. All we hear is the wind in the trees and the singing of the birds and the buzzing of the bees. And all that holds a frequency, and it's a vibration, and we start to get in tune with that vibration, and in that way the nature is very rejuvenating and very refreshing for us as humans, because it's very natural to us. What we live in now in modern society is very far from natural.
Yeah.
And one thing I'd like to mention too, and you said about not having time, and that comes down to priorities. It's like, I choose to live the life I live. I don't have a lot of money, and I don't need a lot of money. I don't want a lot of money. I want my freedom. So I choose to live very simple. I don't buy nice new things. I don't go to fancy restaurants. I don't drive a nice truck or a nice vehicle, but I have my freedom. I have just enough. And for me, that's my priority. And I choose this lifestyle over luxury and nice things.
I think
it comes back to a choice.
I think it also goes into that you wrote a few days ago, and I'll read it here. Our egos have a tendency to collect and hold on to trauma and identify with the pain. I am who I am because this or that happened to me. The ego wears trauma like a soldier wears his or her medals. And I was thinking about it like being the victim, but at the time, because you mentioned that also, you identify with being a victim. But what we then also do is when we say we don't have the time, it's also being a victim.
Yeah, for sure. for me, I'm a slave to the system, and I can't get away, and I work, so many hours, and 3 jobs, and I can't make ends meet, and it's that mindset. It's the mindset, and sometimes you change the mindset and you change your life.
Yeah, what I loved what you said, it's like, how things can brings us closer to the true essence, which is pure loving awareness. And we've been talking previous, when we were talking, it was about consciousness, even the consciousness with eating your foods. And this is funny, because I know when I eat something that I should not eat, and I start feeling guilty even before I take the first bite. And that is the wrong thing to go, because then you're already you tell your being, like, it's wrong for you and you're going to suffer because of it. Now, if you would have a different is it attitude or consciousness with this, what do you feel? Would that be
I feel that can be changed through intent and belief. I believe that our belief in an outcome of a situation, and then our intent that goes into it directly affects, what the outcome is going to be. And if you believe that eating this meal that may not be as healthy, and you think that, I'm going to feel bad, it's gonna make me sluggish and bloated, and these things are going to happen, well, then most likely those things are going to happen. But if you have this plate, and you bless it, and you call in, and you say, let this food purify this food, let this food nourish my body, let it replenish my cells, and really put that intent into the food and believe it. I believe that you can change the outcome.
It is, I always tell my clients, if you know that you're going to eat something that you shouldn't, you better enjoy it.
Better enjoy it, yeah, and always bless it. Always give thanks and gratitude for it. Mm-hmm.
True, too. I know that, I have to follow my own teachings more at times, but we are so brainwashed in knowing about, this is not good for you, and this is bad, and you shouldn't do that. And then you feel guilty even by the thought of doing it. And we do know how important thoughts are. And for many, many years, I had this, like, I'm my own worst enemy. And and it takes time. I have been getting away from it by enjoying things more. It, like, last week we saw a huge bumblebee in one of my flowers outside. I mean, that made me happy for the rest of the day.
I love bumblebees.
I lived here for 18 years. I haven't seen even one in those years. Maybe
that's so cool.
Yeah, and maybe now I have the right plants, but it was a big one. And then we still think about, well, I don't want him to close because he may sting, and I'm allergic to that. And it's like, oh my gosh, if we could get all these thoughts out of our minds and realizing how beautiful nature is, even on that little plot of land what I have here, and enjoy it absolutely to the max.
Yeah.
I mean, I was sitting outside a little this morning. It was kind of cool still, but the breeze and the flowers, it is, oh my gosh. We live all, in God, I even lived in a city in a flat, but I was near the park, so I was always going there. But still, we have all these houses right next to each other. And then there is a park, and I barely see people here. And people just live their life the way they always did, with their daily, at least weekly doctor's visits, and think life is normal. And sometimes I want to tell everybody it could be so much different and so much better.
Could be so much different. I think weekly doctor visits is not normal.
No, it's not. But about the consciousness of everything, I mean, would you say how do we accomplish that? By being more grateful, by meditating?
Yes. So all of it, every aspect of it, because everything, it's my belief, and we all have different beliefs. My belief is that everything is consciousness. Everything, the rocks, the trees, the dirt, every person, every animal, everything in existence is consciousness. And we are all connected to all of that. We're part of everything, and everything is part of us. And when we work on becoming mindful and working on that mind, body, spirit complex, and really, doing the work to take care of ourselves, and choosing to hold rights over the easy wrongs, and making choices to good health. And the big ones is meditation. Meditation allows us to see our thoughts from a higher perspective, and our thoughts don't just run the show. It's a process, and it takes time. But through meditation, you start to notice the self-talk. And sometimes you may notice, well, this self-talk, I'm not very, very nice to myself, or maybe this is a little fear-based, and you can kind of catch yourself and take a step back and maybe redirect. And then the big one, my biggest one, and the most potent for me, is gratitude. Gratitude for everything, for the most simple thing, for the sip of water, for a breath of fresh air. And you take gratitude for the simplest little things, and really truly feel it, cultivate that in. And then by the time you get to the things that matter most, like my daughter or my dog, I'm so grateful for, and my freedom, then I'm exploding with gratitude. And I can't help but to be lighthearted and smile, and to really appreciate every aspect of life. Gratitude is very potent, strong medicine.
Gratitude, and something just popped up in me. I had to think about smiles. How we can change someone's feeling and day if we just smile at them, and nothing else. Strangers just on the street, and smile at them.
Yes.
The funny thing was that this happened to me. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and a guy, he looked me straight in the eye and a big smile, and then he moved on. He didn't say anything, and I still remember that smile. I mean, it made my day.
That's one of my favorite things to do. I love to pass people on the street and smile, and just to show them, just, hey, come on, everything's okay. And a lot of people are scared to make eye contact, and sometimes if you smile at them, they pull away. But those are the ones that need the smiles the most. And I can tell you a little story. I used to live in Tennessee, in Clarksville, and I used to go on a run on a greenway, and I'd run every day about the same time. And I'd always pass this lady on the run, and everybody I passed, I'd smile. But this one lady, I'd pass her, and I'd always look her in the eye and smile, and she'd look away, or she'd look down, or she would just pretend I didn't exist. This went on for 2 or 3 weeks. And then finally, she made eye contact, and she gave me a smile. Well, not really a smile, maybe a little bit of a smirk, or maybe some brown that she was wearing. And this went on for a while. And, after a few weeks, I'd passed her on the greenway, and she got to where she was sharing the smile, and it's just, we can't be afraid to share those smiles, and the fear of not having it reciprocated, because it's those that can't smile back that need our smiles the most.
Yeah, the smiles have to come from our heart, from our being. And it's like, what you said, you have to have the happiness in yourself, and then it shares. It's like a ripple effect, I think.
Yes.
And
isn't that what really, really true happiness is, in the sharing, in the giving, in the sharing of the love with everyone and everything.
Yeah. Do you feel that you attract different people by, this way, by being happy yourself?
Absolutely. Everything is vibrational, and people in the like vibrations will attract. It doesn't mean that you're not going to come across somebody that's acting a fool, for lack of better words. And when those situations happen, it's just back in your heart, show love, have compassion, understand that humans have needs, and there's a need behind those actions, and give compassion. But as far as like living in a high vibrational state, you seem to cross paths with high vibrational people much more often. It's just the nature of the universe.
Tell me more about music. I've seen now from
Uh,
the you're playing a flute, which
oh yes,
I
yes.
thought was
So
pretty amazing, especially in the mountains.
yes, back to everything being vibrational, and when I play my flutes, to me it's a very spiritual thing. I pray before I play, and I really drop into my heart space, and I do it to share my love and to share my joy. I want to share it with anyone who's willing to listen. And for me, the vibrations of the flute, they don't have words, but they have feeling and emotion. And if you can just slow down and just really connect and listen and let those vibrations in, they can be very healing, and often leave you feeling very peaceful and very tranquil and very calm and at ease.
Yeah, it is. It is, but a lot of music for me, it was flute, definitely drumming. Absolutely, it's like I the first time I went to a drum circle, and I had never done it before. I had a djembe, and not a big one, like a medium size, and I was sitting there and I tried to follow other people, and I could not get the rhythm. And then I was like, I closed my eyes and I let feeling take over, and now I got it.
Yeah.
It was an amazing experience, actually.
Oh yes, it's powerful. hmm And you kind of what happens when what you just explained was you let your awareness fall from your brain, from your mind that's always thinking and analyzing and trying to say, oh, is this the rhythm? Is this it? Is this is sounding right? Am I in tune? And you just let that go, and you just let your awareness drop into your heart, and you just feel into it, and you're just there, you're just being, and you're just letting it flow, and it flows.
Yeah, I don't believe we need to be able to read musical notes. I mean, when I was a child, they put me on classes for accordion, and I played the accordion for several years until I got a teacher, and he wanted to make a professional out of me because I was so good. From that moment on, I started hating it with a passion. I
Well,
was 12.
it took your creative expression away.
Yeah, I was 12 years old, and I was in tears if I have to go there. And soon after, I could not even read a musical note again. I never picked up the accordion after that. And I love music. I absolutely love music. I think I mentioned it one time here on a podcast. I was on a motorcycle trip, and all of a sudden a motorcycle rides by, and he had a radio on it, something I would never do on a motorcycle, but heck, this was on some big meeting, and he was playing a song that I absolutely adored. I was almost running after that motorcycle to hear more of the music. Because I was on a
Yes.
3-month trip traveling all over the United States, and I had missed the music so much, never even thought about, this was in the early 80s, so I didn't have anything with me, but
You
that
know,
was actually funny.
and talking about music, music holds a frequency, and there's an energy behind the music that's shared. And some music can be very uplifting and very positive and cultivate feelings of joy and bliss and presence. And other music, it can have maybe not so good intent behind it, and it can foster feelings of fear and lack or materialism, or say maybe other less pure desires and emotions, and it affects our psyche. It's a vibration that we choose what vibrations do we want to let into our field. And music is so powerful.
Yeah, you
So it can
mentioned
be
music.
poison or it can be medicine. It's
That's
take your
what I was
pick.
going to say. Yeah, I saw that you mentioned that it can be medicine or poison. It's I had a friend who absolutely loved this. It was not even heavy metal. There was other word for it, and it was so disturbing that it hurt my heart physically. It really hurt my body.
Yes, yes. I when I had my experience in 2019, after that, I experienced when I would get around low vibrational music, say maybe some types of metal or some rap or certain things that were very low vibrational. And I'm not saying that all metal or rap is low vibrational, but some of it is. And if I was in the space of that, my body would physically shake. I would start to shake from being so uncomfortable and so affected. It was like I couldn't be around it. I had to get away and get back into me, into that loving space.
Now, with your study on healing, how would you further do that? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
With the going to South America?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've heard of ayahuasca. I have been called. I feel Spirit has called me to come and work with this medicine. And I answered that call last March and went down to Colombia for the first time and sat with ayahuasca and had an incredibly profound experience of oneness, of unity with all things, everything. And then I had many experiences after that. And I feel I see the healing potential in it. And I feel like the world we live in now can really use that medicine. And I feel called to bring it to the West, to bring it back to North America, and to share it with those who can't travel to the jungle. But I always recommend, if you're interested in doing it and you have the means and the time to go south, that's the place to take it. But not everyone has that option. And there's magic down there, the intent and belief is the recipe for magic, and they believe so much in what they're doing, and they believe it to their core, and so it is, and they have strong intent. And we work with these plants, and the prayers, and there's so much more than just the ayahuasca. There's like Ortega, which is a stinging nettle that's purifying, and it's whipped on the body, on the skin. And there's Rapé, which is a snuff that's blown up the nose. It's very grounding. It's very cleansing. There's other things like Cambo, which is a frog venom that they put on the skin and put it on, and it cleans out the lymph node system and really kind of resets and flushes bad negative energies out. So there's a lot. There's a lot to it.
And do you feel that people here are ready for that? Would you? But
not everyone. No.
You're a traveling person, like what you mentioned. You're a nomad. When you bring that to the world here, would you do it as in a clinic, or what are you thinking?
Well, right. Well, so I'm not a doctor. I'm not, but I am of a different sort, should say. I feel very called to work with the medicine. I feel Spirit is said, hey, this is what you need to do, and I'm trying to humbly answer that. It's not for everyone, but if there's anybody listening and you feel called and this resonates with you, I encourage you to have the courage to answer that call. And it does. It takes a lot of courage to step through the veil, and with these plant medicines, and to dive into the depths of your soul and really heal whatever's buried deep inside that needs to be healed, so that you can blossom into your true self and live your best life.
Yeah, I think that is the problem that many people facing, is looking at themselves, looking inside, and have no fear in what is coming at them, and to make changes. I think
it's a surrender.
It is, yes.
You surrender to it. It's like you just throw your arms down and your chest out, and it's just, I surrender. And you surrender to love, and you surrender to the healing process. And in that, the healing takes place, and it's through the surrender. It's through the letting go.
Yeah, it is. And yeah, absolutely, the letting go. But I was thinking of, gosh, what did I wanted to say? it is a big step to see what is needed and to make a change, any change, a change in
Right.
diet, a change in your daily pattern, because I feel that we are so disconnected from what is real life. It's we live in an artificial life and it's not easy to be happy with that in that. And of course, then nature comes back in, but taking that step, doing that work. And for me, it was like, I don't chase people to help them. Like, oh, you need my help. People come to me because that is where they are guided towards. And I
And
think
that's how it should be. Yes.
yeah.
Because if they're not coming to you, they're not ready.
Absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes it's like they come and then, I don't hear anything for a year or 2 or 3 years, and then they come back because, now it may be a better time. Yeah, I was just thinking about, there are so many modalities. I talk to people who have cancer, and cancer is nothing, we see it, and Dr. Morse taught us it's nothing more than another symptom of a very acidic body, and you can your body can heal that, but the fear comes in, and then we look at the thousands of different modalities to go at, but the easiest one is always giving in to whatever your doctor, who was the one who diagnosed it, to give into it. And that
Right.
is, yeah, and that is where I feel it's like, oh my gosh,
The death sentence.
I could, my body was so acidic, I could have cancer, but I'm not going to a doctor to find out. I don't need any diagnosis. I know I need to do the right thing for my body, and I know how to do it. Go ahead.
I couldn't. No, go ahead. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay.
So I couldn't. I can tell you how many people that I've met in conscious circles of conscious, lighthearted individuals who had cancer at one point, and they faced that fear, and they dove deep inside. They avoided the chemo, they avoided the pills and stuff, and they just changed their diet, they changed their lifestyle, they changed their mindset on life, and in the cancer, having that was a catalyst to help them to heal themselves, and then to live their very best life with none of the other stuff needed. So many, and then there's others too that I've seen that will terminal, but live in their very best life. Says, you know what, it's okay. I have a few months left, and I'm gonna make the most of it. And I'm gonna live my best life. And it finally clicked, and they lived so good at the end, and it's all worth it.
Yeah, and so many times people find that doing nothing is they live longer, actually.
Yeah,
doing nothing in nothing as in following the instructions from
the doctor
who
stuff,
diagnosed
right.
you. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
careful.
Well, and
I'm
it's
careful
mental
with
too.
yeah, I was careful with formulating my words, otherwise I get kicked off YouTube.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject, and then
Yeah.
a lot of money in that business.
And yes, there is. And the the weird thing that I experience is it is easier for people to pay high amounts for something that makes their body even more acidic than for any other option, like, the right foods, or even a counselor to talk with on a weekly basis, maybe. It's it's a messed up, you could say it's a messed up society, and we have a long way to go. But I'm actually happy to see that more and more people are looking into other ways of being happy and healing. And that is actually, bring my website up again, gardenofeden.social. That is actually what I hope to accomplish with that community, building that community, where we can show people, what can you do, what can fit in your life, how can you change, even if it is with tiny steps, how can you change your lifestyle?
One tiny step at a time, and it starts somewhere.
Yeah, and my gosh, you may go what is it, one step forward and three steps back at times. So be it. There's always a next day, and there are always ways and other things that make you happy. I mean, you can be getting depressed when it rains. I mean, I love it when it rains, but why do I love it? It's because it's been so dry now. But I see
You,
life when it rains. I see new life when the sun shines. So there's always something beautiful to find in, well, I would say in pretty much everything.
yes, yes, and we're talking about one step at a time, and it's just small things. It's simple, like making your bed in the morning, and and stepping outside and taking a deep breath and just breathing in the fresh air and just giving thanks for the day. Thank you for letting me be alive here on this planet today to experience life. What a blessing.
Absolutely. Hey guys, if there would be any questions, put them in the chat or click on that Zoom link at the top and join us live. I don't know if Grant is here. He promised to be here, but I don't see him. And he may have forgotten again. He's such a busy life, so busy. So I know Katie couldn't come on right now, but she is here. Katie, you are always the one with a ton of questions. Where are yours today? Putting you at the spot. We have a small, well, community here, you could say, but overall, there are quite a few people who listen to what we are talking about later. And we have been doing this now for me, it's almost 2 years. I think this was number 63 or 64 that I've done it with Sarah. And we always enjoy just a little chat, learning from people, and yeah, we always learn from each other. I mean, that is an ongoing thing. I absolutely do not have all the wisdom. I don't even want to. I want to keep learning. I want to experience new things, and I think that goes
Yes.
for many of us.
Yes. Yes. Maybe that's the whole purpose of everything, is just to experience, just to exist, just to be something other than nothing.
Yeah, because you can so easily get into that rut of doing, I don't even know if that's an English expression actually, of doing, the same thing every day over and over. I do feel that no matter what business or work that you are in, set aside, if it's only 1 hour a day, that is just for you, and reading, music, meditating, nature. And now we have
Yoga.
yoga. I have a frog here that is making noises, and he is distracting me. He keeps coming back. It's kind of, well, he was inside, and I have a new office in the sunroom, and the door was open, and we're going back and forth, and all of a sudden that frog was in here. There, he is out now. Okay, does Jesse have any recordings of his flute playing, Susan? Yes, on his Facebook page.
And I have an Instagram. My Instagram is Flutes in Wild Places, and that's all dedicated to sharing the loving vibrations of the flute. And feel free to check it out. Again, that's Flutes in Wild Places on Instagram.
And I have been listening to a few on your Facebook.
Mm-hmm. And and I encourage anyone that's listening to pick up an instrument and play. It's something's magical about making music and having that creative expression through an instrument, whether it's a guitar, a ukulele, a flute, an accordion, or whatever it is that you feel called to play. Just play, have fun, let it flow.
A few years ago, I signed up to win a guitar box guitar, and I actually won it. And I didn't believe it, and and they came over and they taped it, they videotaped it, and it's hanging on the wall. I have not touched it. And I was a fashion designer, and more, it's like I loved creating things, and it always had to be perfect. And perfection can hold you back. I never studied for any of the things that I worked in, and I've never had a job. I always had my own business, my own thing,
Wow.
and always something that I really enjoyed. So going from being a fashion designer with my own label and my own boutique and making actually everything myself too, I went into a motorcycle touring company because it was something, I'd done that for years, and I was like, I want to share this. And it was fun. And then it was, but just stepping into completely new, I had no issue with it. But when you come to these little things that you want to do, it's all about perfection. And even I published a magazine, and I was so afraid to look into it, afraid that I would find any fault in it. And then, I knew I couldn't let go. And that is actually holding back your happiness, because it seems that whatever you do, it's kind of like it's never good enough. Well, I last year, or was it early this year, I put together an ebook about health in helping people on their health journey. And of course, there were a ton of errors in it, and Katie helped me with a lot of them to get them out. But I got to a point like, oh well, it's okay. It doesn't really matter. So I have been able to let go of that perfectionism, but I haven't picked up that guitar.
You should pick it up.
Yeah, and that is the same with the drum. I
You
just
know,
love that. Yeah.
I play the ukulele. I've been playing for about 2 years now, and the cool thing with the string instrument is it's all practice. It's really, and it doesn't come easy. It's you have to put in the effort and give it the time, and your fingers start to build a memory, and you start to get it, and it starts to click, and it takes a lot of time and a dedication to be able to get to where you can play pleasant, good songs on it, and in that there's a reward in that you put in the time and the effort to learn this instrument, and now you can play beautiful music with it, and it doesn't come overnight. It doesn't come in a year even. It's dedication, and it's the opposite from the society now that's full of instant gratification. It's you have to put in the work. Anything worth having is worth doing the work to get.
Um, yeah, Susan asked, I played the flute in school. Are your flutes wooden?
Yes, the wooden natural wooden flutes. The From various flute makers. I've had made a few myself, but mine don't sound quite as good as some of the ones I buy. So I still play mostly the flutes that I've bought. They're all wooden, some bamboo, some of them cedar, some mahogany, some black walnut, all different types.
Oh, I have a black walnut tree. That would be quite a few flutes in there.
Well, I'm sure it would be a lot, but I would hate to cut it down to make a flute.
Well, it is. This is I'm always here with the funny stories. When I got in this house, it's 18 years ago. That tree was maybe 4 inches. It was a baby. It was a little stalk with no leaves on it, but just leaving it there. If you see it now, it's twice the height of my home.
Oh,
And
wow.
it is a few yards away from my home. It is cracking the concrete. It is way too close to the street, but it is huge. Now it does have the walnuts, the black walnuts, and they fall, I think it in the fall, and you try to open them. My God, you need a hammer with a sharp point and not even able to open, and they're completely dried out. So I don't think it's a healthy tree. Although,
Well, you can do a lot with black walnut. I think you can. It's mainly in the husk that's around the nut, and you can let them sit on the ground until they turn black, And once they turn black and get a little mushy, you can separate that husk and kind of like boil it and make a tincture from it. And there's a lot of health benefits from black walnut. I'm not an expert on it, so don't just anybody listening, don't just go eating a bunch of black walnuts. But there's something that
I wouldn't. And they didn't. Well, they were kind of dried out in the center. So
well, no, it's the husk on the outside. It's
okay.
the outside husk. That's the
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah. Well, it took 12. It took 15 years before there was any nut on it.
Wow.
So it's a slow well, you would say a slow grower, but in these 18 years it got pretty big.
Yeah.
And I know they're worth quite a bit, but there's nobody who says, okay, I pay you $1,000 and I want to have that tree. They are like, I pay, you pay me $1,000 and I'll remove it.
Right. Yeah.
we'll let it be for a little longer and see how it goes, because if there is one thing I do not like to do is taking any tree down. And
yeah, it's so hard to have to take a tree down. It's heartbreaking.
It is, but it should not have been planted here. First of all, it's not a native tree in this area of Florida. And it's, if you don't realize how huge something can be. Last week at the farmer's market, I was almost tempted to buy a mulberry tree. But when she told me how big it was going to be, and I was like, that's not going to work. I shouldn't do this.
Yeah. I can remember being a kid and climbing into mulberry trees and climbing out and picking the berries.
I had never heard of it, but the lady on the farmer's market, she also had mulberries, and there were so many, and they should have been eaten that day, and I had probably 5-6 pounds of it, and I was like, well, I don't think that's going to happen, and my fingers would have been all black by that time, so I just juiced them, put them in the juicer, and drank it. So
oh yeah, I'm sure they're so good for you.
yeah, I got about 30 ounces of juice out of it, so it was good. I do have to answer a question from Francis.
Yes.
Lady at the grocery store uses a rebounder. I told her that might not be good if her kidneys don't filter. What do you think? Moving lymph before kidney filtering. Well, when we go with Dr. Morse's teachings, it is about having your kidneys opening up, because they filter always, but not really adequately, so that the lymph can move out. I would be cautious. If she does have any issues with it, it's like, okay, I wouldn't do it. I did it for a year, well, maybe more than a year even, and outside, had the rebounder there because I had so much pain in my legs, but it wasn't going away. It was getting worse and worse and worse, and it got better when I stopped. So the lymph was actually pooling in my legs and creating a big bump. So I already knew my kidneys were not filtering, but I'm talking even about this was way before I met Dr. Morse. So I had no clue about lymph moving, and people just had told me, that helps the pain in your legs. Well, it was quite the opposite. So there are videos about it. If you go to Dr. Morse's channel on YouTube, or you go to, and that is where you find all his websites, is drmorse, MORSE.health. And he has the listing of all his websites. So you can find more information there. And we have a lot of information on our big Facebook group. It has more than 41,000 people. It's fans of Dr. Morse ND. It's fans of Dr. Robert Morse ND. And you can type in your question there. There's and use the search function. Another thing is that I would suggest people to use, if you have questions and you want to know what Dr. Morse says about it, is go to rawfigs.com, RAWFIGS.com, and you find a lot of stuff there. Hi, Grant. I see that you are there. I hope that you loved your yard work. And so yeah, it's beauty of life. My gosh, I think when it comes to that, there are so many things that we tend to forget, and where we need to get back into in enjoyment. And I even have, and I hope you will be part of that that website, gardenofeden.social too, Jesse, because I have a section there about music, and I have to build it out a little further. Frequencies, I would have a section with flutes, and we can put your, videos you have there. Anything that helps people feel better, and give them a guidance. I think that is what it is. Give them a guidance about what to need. What are all your options? What is it that you can all do yourself?
Right. And to show that that there's hope, that there's a path and a way out of the suffering, and that you don't need to take pills to get there. You don't need to do all these things. You need to just simple. It's just simple things, cultivating your peace. Mm-hmm.
Well, that is the whole thing, the simplicity of life. We have made it so complicated.
So complicated.
And sometimes when you think about it, all the things that people do with their kids, and I think that is one important thing too. I saw you on one of the videos with a small child. Is that family?
My daughter, yeah, I have my daughter. She's 7. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I wanted to put up a section in what is it that we should really teach our children, and what is important for them, not sitting in a classroom, like a prison. And I've mentioned this often. My daughter is she's going to be 52 this year, so it's a long time ago. In the 70s, I was like, she's not going to I'm not going to put her through the same school system as when I went through. And I mean, my school system for me was the 50s and the 60s. And I already found it, I was a young mom at 19, and I was like, I'm not going to do that to my daughter. And look at where we are today. It's only gotten much worse.
It has.
Like everything, yeah.
I heard that the school system was created, or like public schooling was created by the Rockefellers, and it was in an effort to indoctrinate young people into the workforce, into capitalism society. And it's like you go to school, you're not taught how to think, you're taught what to think. And and it's like they say, I don't need a nation of thinkers, I need a nation of workers. So that's the school system.
Yeah, well, the schools were there even before, because they did want to have their kids to read and write and calculate. But when it comes to it, we put our kids in school for what, 12 years, if not more. And it's like, my gosh, everything that they teach these kids in these years could have been learned in a year. I mean, what is really important, and the important thing, they have no clue. They absolutely have no clue. So I do applaud the school that have started projects like gardening for their kids, and cooking, whatever they I forgot the word, planted, what they planted and harvested, and then cook it and get that experience. I mean, it's a start. But there is so much more. I mean, we had Joanne on the call. I think it was last week, the week before, and she did completely different things with her kids. She had 7-year-olds, but she said, I only have them for 10 months, and that's it. But still feeling that she gave those kids a basis for the rest of their life. And we don't realize how really important it is. And it's even with food. I mean, we tell our children, 6, 7 months old, it's like we give them certain cooked food and they hate it. And it's like, yeah, you have to learn to eat it. It's like, how crazy are we? I did it too. not knowing any better. And I was one who was all into herbs and different things and no doctors and nature. And still, I got into that brainwashed idea. It's like, well, they have to learn how to eat it, not even thinking about, they decide themselves, what is good for them. They know,
And they
and
do, but they also like chicken nuggets too.
yeah, it give them, well, yeah.
If you give
I
a
don't know.
4-year-old the option to eat some chicken nuggets from McDonald's, which is one of the worst things you could probably put in your body, but they're probably going to want it because it's been engineered and made so that it's desirable.
Yeah, it's but I think when the kids are even younger than that, I don't know. I don't know if they would go for the chicken nugget. If you have a 1-year-old, 1.5-year-old, you put fruit out there or the chicken nugget, they're not going for the chicken nugget. That's when they are already being taught about,
Yeah.
what to eat. It is just it's really not, not a natural thing. But yeah, I've seen it with kids. But I've also seen a little girl, kitty cat, go away, go away. I've also seen a little girl who found out, and maybe she was 3 years old, that meat on her plate was actually an animal before, like a chicken that she could hug, and now it was a dead piece of meat on her plate, and she was in tears. She was horrified. She did not
Oh,
eat it anymore. And her mom was laughing, and although
oh.
they thought it was funny, but that child was so serious. It's like, how can we do that? How can we eat an animal that was running around and loving life? And so it was, to me, it was that was really special, but not what I was really thinking about, when my child was young. And I have been from macrobiotic to vegetarian to vegan to and even to what was, Dr. Atkins to help me lose weight. It
You,
didn't work, but anyway.
you know, while we're on the topic, I would like to address one thing that I'm sure you know about it, but it's the big food companies are capitalizing on the concept of being vegan, and they're using it as an excuse to sell people a bunch of highly processed stuff with a lot of chemicals in it, and then they slap on vegan, and just because it says it's vegan does not mean it's good for you.
Oh, absolutely. And I will be the first one to keep repeating that. But sometimes when you are somewhere and it's like, oh, you don't eat meat? No, I'm vegan. And then that's it. Don't have to talk about it anymore. If I tell them I am fruitarian, they're looking at me like, what? What's that? That's where you always get the funny questions when you load up on all your oranges, watermelon, and apples and grapes, and they are on the you are at the cash register, and they're looking at it and they're looking at you, and it's like, are you going to eat that all?
That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
It's always fun, but maybe it is, doing it that way. Well, that's the only way to do it if you want to buy your stuff, but it's like planting a seed.
Yeah.
Maybe people then want to know more about it. That's why I still want to make I want to make t-shirts and that have a fruit eating or fruitarian text on it. I haven't found the right text yet, but yeah.
I
Yeah.
when I did the fruit and vegetable diet, just raw vegan, I guess. I was in Ecuador. I was staying at an eco village called Fruit Haven, and I know Guayaquil in Ecuador, and it's a community of people, and everybody grew all the fresh fruit right there on the land. Bananas and papayas and pineapple and jackfruit, and it's just you name it. There's so many things that I don't even know the names of, but they were delicious. And part of the thing to stay there is you had to make the commitment. Okay, I'm not going to eat anything that's not fresh, raw, natural. And you can tell it. You can definitely feel a big difference when you feed your body those foods like that.
Yeah, I think when we talk about vegan, it comes closer when we would say we're raw vegan. And even then, for me, it wasn't working because I was eating way too many nuts and seeds, and it wasn't too much fat, too much, and I was falling for that protein thing that we needed the protein. So I was adding a whole bunch, and whatever you buy smoothies these days at stores and such, it all has a bunch of proteins in it. I still have probably a bucket with a gallon of pea proteins. Like, yeah, so I fell for that too, and it wasn't helping my body, and so I got away from that. But vegan is still it still can be junk food. The only thing is you don't eat the animals, or no animals are killed. And it is funny because nowadays you have a lot of vegan restaurants popping up. And of course, we had to check it out. I have this thing. I love going to new restaurants and finding out what they have. But this new restaurant had the Impossible Burger, of course, and that is
Don't know if you can see me shaking my head.
yeah, that is a Kabbalah burger. But anyway, it's not healthy, and yeah, there are funny things. I mean, it's like certain foods are just not working for us, and there are veggies that are not working for us. So much is hybrid, so much is, high cellulose that our body cannot even digest,
Right.
like kale.
Right. Like all the nightshades, the potatoes and the tomatoes. I mean, we love them,
Yeah,
they're good,
and
but really not that good for you.
True, and I saw one yesterday about potatoes. I used to like potatoes, but how do you eat potatoes? Well, not raw. So you have to cook them, steam them, bake them, fry them, whatever. And I did love the fries. And then you need salt on it, because there's no salt, it doesn't taste good. And when you think about it, how crazy is this? You need all kinds of things to do to a product and to make it tasty. Then you can probably, get whatever to make it tasty. I can see where you would eat a sweet potato, because even if you don't put anything on it, it still tastes good. But a white potato, and people don't realize, it's like glue in your body. For heaven's sake, it's used in the glue industry. So yeah, there's a lot of food, and it's in a way it's fun to find out. I always say people need to listen to their bodies. How do you feel when you eat something?
And our bodies are all different, it's everybody has a different body. If I tried to tell my girlfriend not to eat potatoes, and she's from Ecuador, and her culture up in the Andes, that's what they from generations, thousands of years back, they lived off potatoes. Like potatoes was huge in the staple in their diet, and it's like she can't even imagine life without potatoes. So I think cultural plays into it a little bit too.
Yeah, but still, it doesn't. I mean, I grew up on potatoes, veggies, and meat, and it was always more potatoes than veggies or meat. The meat was just too expensive, and I never cared for meat, so that was actually a good thing. I could very well do without. I saw another question that I need to answer from Zara. Sarah, I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Can you reverse premature menopause? And you're only 20 years old. Please do connect with me. In the show notes, in the description of this video, there's a way to contact me, because we need to find out what is going on and why you are getting to that point, because that is not natural. Can it be reversed? Your body can heal. Your body can heal anything that is not working correctly.
Toni, are you still there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I got you now.
Okay. So Sarah, please do connect with me so we can talk about this and figure out what is the reason that you are going through this already. And when people are talking about cancer and not eat fruit, I mean, yeah, cancer fruit does not feed cancer. You cannot compare it with the white sugar, the crystal, is that like crystal sugar? I don't know what they call that here, the white sugar.
Refined sugar.
Yeah, the refined sugar, it's like, I don't know why people keep using the same names for that. It's like, and then saying, no, you should not eat fruits. Well, we can teach them, we can show them what is going on. Sue, but you have a red line in your right eye. Is that in the white section in the sclera? It is. I have a sclera chart, and I don't know if you have my ebook, your health journey guide. There is a sclera chart in it, and then you can exactly see what it refers to. The same as with iridology, the lines in your in the white part, the sclera, also direct to parts in your body. And that is actually the same with your teeth. And I have mentioned it before, I have teeth issues. And they are exactly, and I already had that when I was in my 20s. I lost my first teeth, also lost my gallbladder. And that was actually the tooth that connects to the gallbladder and the liver. And they're definitely, you know, I've been living without a gallbladder for, what is it now, 50 some years. So yes, Sue. So let me know if you have the ebook. Otherwise, I sent you the chart. Send me an email to again, everybody can do that. Send me an email to healthywithfruit@gmail.com. Yeah, the juice feasts are good for the eyes. When Dr. Morse actually mentioned lately, we always talking about these juice feast, and go on only juices, and he says, you know, just go on all fruit. You can do the juices, but you know, if you want to, but it's not that it is so much healthier. And a fast is sometimes really good, but then I would go do a few day water fast. And with the eyes, I have cataracts. Not happy about it. The body heals whatever the body wants to heal in whatever time. And apparently my eyes may be a priority for me, but not in the healing part. Because I am probably looking at surgery, and I'm not really ready for that. But we'll just see how it goes. I have faith, and everything, you know, goes the way it needs to go, and I'm okay with that.
Mhm.
Yes, okay.
You
Go ahead.
mentioned fasting. You know, fasting is one of the things that I think is very overlooked in to the times today. It's huge health benefits to fasting. Even if you do it once a year, you know, maybe once a year you fast for 3 to 5 days and just water. And what happens is the body will start to, yes, cannibalize itself, but it's very selective, and the body cannibalizes its old or damaged cells. And these are the cells that have the risk of becoming cancerous later. And if you do a fast once a year, and you kind of reset your system, you kind of eat up and recycle those old cells. And it also kind of gives your digestive system a huge break. You know, it's just so many benefits to fasting. And not to mention, it's like the discipline that you get from fasting. If you can go for 3 days without eating, especially in a society where there's food available everywhere, I mean, that's huge for self-discipline. I mean, if you can do that, you can do about anything.
And you know what? It is so easy, because I water fasted. This was last year, October, for 23 days.
Wow,
It
impressive.
was well, I had years ago, even when I was in my 20s, I did one for 35 days. I've done actually that was water with lemon. I did that 10 years ago. And that was also, I think, 5 weeks. Yeah, that was also, you know, 35 days, 40 days. And but I find it very easy to do a water fast, because you don't think about food. You're not hungry. And I
The
absolutely,
first 2 to 3 days are tough. If you get over that hump, it gets
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah, well, it was easy because when you make the decision to do it, and it's easier, I found it easier to stick with all water than with fruit juices. Because then I still have to think, what do my taste buds want? Do I want the watermelon? Do I want the apple juice? What do I want? And with water, it's like you don't need to think. It's just water, drink water. And if you're sick, if you have a cold, whether it's detoxing, a flu, it's whatever it is, just even if it's only a day or start somewhere, give your body a rest. And sometimes it makes it to 2 days or 3 days or a week. And I absolutely agree. But for some people, it needs to build up. I would not say go from a standard, we call it the standard American diet, but it's not only American, it's all over the world.
It's all over the world now, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with the 3 meals a day thing. I don't know about you, but I think the 3 meals a day is some propaganda to get people to buy food they don't need.
Oh, it's absolutely crazy because it's like people think, oh my God, it's 8 or 9 o'clock in breakfast, and often it comes with bacon and eggs and whatever else kind of
Yeah,
junk.
or a
And then
cinnamon
it's
or a
like,
Cinnabon with a bunch of icing on it because it's
yeah,
okay because
yeah,
it's the morning.
that too, or it is then a salad. Oh, we are so healthy. We eat a chicken salad for lunch, and then we have a steak in the evening. That's 3 times meat. When I grew up, we maybe had 3 times a week. We had and that it goes in grams because it was in the Netherlands, and that was 80 grams piece of meat. That was small piece in the palm of your hand. That was the meat that we ate. And look at what is being eaten now. It's like you cannot even buy small portions. Go into a restaurant, you get on your plate, a week's worth of meat. So yeah, but that is part of the brainwashing, what has been done, and people get sick, and now the doctors come in play, and they are, of course, not really healing you, but keeping you sick and
Yes.
masking your symptoms with all kinds of pharmaceuticals. I just read, and I don't know who it was on Facebook somewhere, and they had and I think I saved a picture, and it was about it being witchcraft. That the word pharmaceutical is has to do with witchcraft.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, no. Let me see if this if I still have it. Probably not. So, but it was interesting to see that people start realizing, what actually it is. No, I didn't save it. But yeah.
Well, there was the whole campaign, launched. I think there was the Rockefellers also, like, against holistic healing modalities and like kind of demonizing the natural ways, and this was done like back in the early 1900s, I think. And I'm not an expert on this, but I'm just trying to go off my memory. And it was all in an effort to promote pharmaceuticals so that people they could sell these pills and these tinctures that were altered and petroleum based and not natural. And then the FDA was created by the drug companies, by the same people that created the drug companies to litigate, to make it so it's like, oh, this is the good stuff and these natural remedies are the bad, when it's the other way around.
Yeah, but now we got to the part where if you see, they got both sides, the ones who take the pharmaceuticals and the ones who take the supplements. And for the people who did not want to take the pharmaceuticals, and I only found out like 5 years ago how bad the supplements are actually for us. And
oh yeah,
it's all isolated chemistry, but it means that when you think, oh, I'm doing good, I'm not taking the pharmaceuticals, I'm doing it the natural way. Well, believe me, isolated chemistry, there's nothing natural about it.
Right. When I say natural, I'm talking, straight out of the ground. It's just you're picking the ratio of the turkey tail mushroom right off the tree.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, natural, unmessed with, untampered with. Everywhere, every part of the world you go to, you go out into nature, and nature has a cure for almost everything, and it comes in so many flavors and so many variety. And
but
wisdom around it.
Yeah, Jesse, but here is something that I do have to mention. Whatever is in nature is not made for specifically a symptom. It's not like, oh, we have this symptom, so this herb works for that. The herbs are just assisting, the healing in your body, but not a specific system.
Right.
Symptom, that is the word. But yeah, I do have to answer one more question, and we already are at 1:15. Do you think fasting is easier when you have been on the fruit for a long time? Thank you for reminding me, Francis, because that is what I was going to say about being on a Western, so-called Western diet, call it a standard diet, standard bad diet, is that I wouldn't go into an water fasting when you come from the meat and potatoes section. It's like, build it up. You can do maybe a day. And if you're really sick, yeah, I would say, stop eating, because, you don't even want to eat. But going into a longer water fast, it would be great to build it up. And that would be fruit juices, and then the water fast. And you don't have to need to be a month on fruit. It's just like, don't shock your body too much. Unless you don't mind the detox symptoms that you could get. But other than that, it's like at any time, and I think everybody agrees with me that the only healing thing is to stay away from putting anything in your body but water. That's the way to heal.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, guys, it is, we're going to end this podcast, and I enjoyed having you here, Jesse. I hope that you will come on more, maybe even with your flute playing.
Yeah.
And, I will find your Instagram and see if I can put the videos on Garden of Eden. I hope to see you there too. It's gardenofeden.social. It's
okay.
really in the beginning stages. I haven't fully promoted it other
Maybe
than letting
you send me the link.
know. Oh, you can't remember that? Gardenofeden.social? I thought I made it easy. I will send you that link. And thanks everyone for being here. And I would say, love to you all, and till the next time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
No, thank you, Jesse. I enjoyed it.